I've recorded this video 3 times before I realized that I had audio issues, so forgive me. Hey guys, it's your boy Dave. We're going to go over the Chivalry 2023 forecast in progress, which was released by Jen on all the Chivalry 2 socials from Torn Banner. It's basically showing what we can expect to see in 2023 in all the upcoming updates and all the fun stuff that we can have fun playing with. So let's go ahead and just get started. First, largest thing that we should talk about, crossplay parties. Party up with your friends, whether they're on Epic Games, Steam, Xbox, or PlayStation, coming 2023. This is obviously the most important feature that everyone's excited for. We've been waiting for it for over half a year since Reinforced Update failed to provide it. And it's a little bit disappointing that it wasn't included in the Reinforced Update or the Thaig Stronghold Update, even though it was in the roadmaps for those updates. But now finally they said they're working on it. Obviously they put 2023 because they don't necessarily know when they're going to finish it. In fact, it's even bold of them to assume that they're going to finish it in 2023 alone. They've had a lot of trouble with this, and we have no idea why, because they don't share any actual information. But regardless, they're working on it. They're confident that it's going to be done in 2023 sometime, which is why they put it on here. Next, new team objective maps. I'm actually very happy about this. Will Tenoja strike again? Will Agatha respond to the attack on Stronghold? Stay tuned. I'm a big fan of almost all the team objective maps. I think that it is the best use of their resources, to be honest, when it comes to content creation. I think that if there had to be corporate mandated content, I'm glad it's team objective maps, and I'm glad that that's the focus. Next, more campaign passes filled with the spoils of war. I don't need to talk about this, but I will. Campaign passes are campaign passes. Take your battle pass, shove it up yours. The content is not nearly abundant enough to justify charging that much money. Like 2 armor sets and a couple weapon skins. It's a little bit of a joke. And also the armor sets weren't that amazing, but it's subjective. I understand. I still buy it because I want to support them in any way that I can, but just know that I was not pleased with my purchase. Next, more free-for-all maps. I'm okay with this. The free-for-all maps are interesting. It seems like they're going in the direction of just utilizing the assets that they've already made on the on the team objective maps to make free-for-all maps. Now, this is okay. Asset flipping is okay, right? It's a clever utilization of all the hard work that you did. But when the map is dog shit, it just makes the asset flip look worse. Like Hippodrome is just made using Tenosian assets, but it's also terrible. So it just makes the map feel worse in general because it doesn't have any particularly amazing aesthetic, and it's also not fun to play on. Horses do not belong in free-for-all. Whoever thought they did, please, you need to just step down and go work on maps. Get off the creative direction team, please. Next, new weapon types. I hope that this is actually referring to new weapon types and not just new weapons like the old roadmap did, because if this means that we're getting actually unique weapons, like the flail or the sling, or even something that I can't predict, instead of something like the Highlander sword, which is just like a bigger greatsword, then I'm all for it. You can expect to see like a new weapon every 3 months, or maybe every 6 months, depending on if they slow down, but I don't think they will. So every 3 months. I hope that the new weapon isn't the siege crossbow. If it is, I'm gonna neck myself. So crossing our fingers here. Next, more featured event queues. This refers to the new queue which was added, which is the volley game mode, where you can like all play archer and shoot at the other team who is also all archers. And it's pretty interesting. I don't particularly have fun with it, and this is just means that they're going to be having more featured event queues in the future, which I think is nice because I do think that it provides people a little bit of fun, you know, something different to do from the monotony. And I think that this is a good thing. This is a good thing. I don't have fun with it, but I know that a lot of people do, right? The Brawl game mode, the Midsummer Brawl, the Archer Volley, they're going to have more, and maybe even one of them will be truly unique. I could see like an all-engineer one being pretty funny. Next, horses on more maps. I'm actually a fan of this. I know most people won't be. Horses have been divisive ever since they've been added. I play 40 player and I love horses in them, especially since they reduced the amount of horses per map. I'm actually a huge fan. So pretty good on them for adding horses to more maps. I wonder which ones they'll be added onto. I hope they're not just tacked on and they're actually like thought of on how they want to implement them, because it's really necessary. Something like Thaig Stronghold, you can't just tack horses onto that like they did. It's not a good implementation, and it shouldn't be that way. There should be like less horses on the stronghold, you know, maybe more on a more open map. I think that the max that they have set like 3 per team, I think that's great, a great number. I wouldn't want to put to the old number, so good on them. Next, more surprises in store. I have no idea what that means. I'm not going to tell you. You know what I want it to be, the Holy Trinity, but if it's not, then I can't really talk on that. And that's pretty much the entirety of this update. This forecast in general is very conservative in how they want to present the information to you compared to the last one, and I'm going to get into that right now. So, what exactly do I mean when I say this thing is conservative? Well, if you actually look at the old roadmap, which I can pull up right here, the post-launch roadmap, which was shared in 2022, it showed all the updates that had happened so far, and then it also showed what was going to be included in the upcoming updates, and also the date for when those updates were expected to be released. The biggest update yet, which happened to be the Tenosian update, had the console server browser, all the Tenosian content, blah, blah, blah. Then the reinforced update, which happened after, had crossplay parties, quality of life improvements, new weapon. That's a joke, by the way. It did not have crossplay parties, it did not have quality of life improvements, and the new weapon was the guitar, which everyone hated. Besides me, though. I love the guitar. So, you know. It's really unfortunate, and also the reinforced update did not release in summer, it was delayed. So now this new update is very safe. It does not say when things are coming out. The only thing that it says is that crossplay parties will be released within the entirety of the year. It could be 10 months from now, right? So temper your expectations. And everything else here, it doesn't even say to what extent this content will be released, and it does not say when the content will be released. So more campaign passes, could be 1 campaign pass at the end of the year. More free-for-all maps could be 1 team objective maps, could be 1 team objective map in the end of the year. Unfortunately, they are locked down. Now, what do I think will happen? I think that they're going to maintain their seasonal update structure, which means, you know, an update every 3 months, varying level of quality depending on that update. Over the course of the game's development, when the game released, they had around 20-something employees. And since then, they've nearly quadrupled their staff size to over 80 employees. And they're still hiring more positions. So I don't know what all those employees are doing, right? Maybe they hired 60 custodians. But, hey, you know, I can't imagine that they would slow down with that large of an increase. And if they did, then I would put into question the validity of the expansion. Regardless, that's the direction that they're going. Now, what do I think of this update? I think that is pretty much worthless. There's no information here that I can really give you, but I can tell you my opinions on the studio as a whole and them going forward. Them going forward, they need to work on what the players want. For over a year and a half now, they have just completely neglected what the players want when it comes to actual new features, and they fail to add new features all the time. And what I mean by that is the Holy Trinity. Private servers, mod support, ranked mode. Not in that order, obviously, but ideally one of the 3. I mean, eventually Torn Banner's going to have to throw us a bone, and we really need that bone. We really want ranked play to introduce more people to the competitive community. We really want private servers so we can host our own events and manage them properly instead of using the terribly unoptimized Torn Banner systems. And we really want mod support so we can just fill the game with content because Torn Banner's too slow. Now, these are all jabs at Torn Banner. That last one is a little bit unfair, but the first 2 are totally valid. These are basic features that are needed these days. This game needs a ranked mode. The combat is too good. I don't even want to use the word complex because it's literally like the textbook definition of a great combat system. Easy to learn, hard to master. And it deserves to be presented to people in a competitive manner. Torn Banner is killing their game. I go into other Discords and I try and see why people don't play Chivalry 2 because our player retention is terrible. So I like to get to the bottom of these things, even though I have no effect on the overarching issues. And I went to the For Honor community, and although this game is nothing like For Honor, there is overlap in cool melee game, right? So I talked to the For Honor players. I'm like, why don't you play this game? Why don't you play Chivalry 2? And they literally say, because Chivalry 2 is too casual. If they only knew, how complex and how just in-depth this combat is and how overwhelmingly skillful it is. In my opinion, much more skill-based than For Honor. I don't care who I anger with that comment. For Honor is a bunch of 50-50s, but regardless, the fact that they don't play it because it's not competitive enough is the biggest indicator you need. And now with Dark and Darker, right, an incredibly hardcore game, incredibly difficult for new players to play in, not forgiving whatsoever, basically tells you nothing on how to play and kills you so many times in what you believe is unfair ways. And it's the most popular game right now, with over hundreds of thousands of concurrent players. Torn Banner, you need to wake up. No one wants to play you for an hour and put you down. Well, actually, that's all they want to do, but you know what I mean. Like, we want this to be a game that we play every day, but it seems like the developers are only focused with just churning out as much sales as possible, and then that's it. And so they give us our battle pass and our new weapon, which no one plays with because none of the new weapons are enjoyable for the overwhelming majority of the player base, and then they tell us to screw off, and it's extremely unfortunate. We would like to see actual content that we actually like. Give us the game modes that we want. Give us ranked duels. Give us ranked 3v3, ranked 5v5, something like that. Give us private servers so we can manage our own events and tournaments. Support our tournaments. Maybe even host an official tournament. That would get some actual viewership. Do something that we like. You know what we want, and if you don't know what we want, we're always here to talk. For anyone who's not in the know that watches these videos, this is not an extremely large community. The developers interact with us on an actual first-name basis, but they don't want to tell us anything, and they don't want to listen to us. They are incredibly detached despite being incredibly close, if that makes any sense. And it's depressing for a lot of the people in the community, and it causes a lot of them to leave and not want to play the game anymore because they see how just negligent the developers can be, despite the fact that they have such easy access to us. They're not a large corporation. They are an indie studio, and they can afford to be this amicable and accommodating. Regardless, those are my opinions. Sorry to be a negative Nancy, but I brought you the news, and I gave you my thoughts. So all of you have a wonderful rest of your day.